Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to. How about that music? What is up, everybody? Welcome and good morning. Welcome to Get Book Solid. Today, you have the two best looking 50-plus-year-olds on the internet, Sean Dill and David Meltzer. Good morning, David.
Well, how does it feel to be half right?
Oh, I feel I'm half right all the time. That's actually 50% more right than I normally am, and that's because Lacey's not here.
Because you're the best. You're the best looking. I'm below average, but I make up for it in other areas. Anyway, we are absolutely down a leg. Without we'll see how this goes without Lacey carrying us. But I know she has amazing things going on. The holidays, Sean, in, under the context of get booked solid. I wonder, what your philosophy was. There was a lot of people caught into the quandary of it's a holiday. I want to get as much done during the holiday. I want to enjoy the holiday, but those people that maybe have the intention of doing business during the holiday, what has been your experience? Off the grid completely, pushing where maybe you're not going to get the same response. What has been your experience in holiday booking?
Well, and that's a great question. I think that has to do with two main factors, and I'll make it very simple. It has to do with you, and it has to do with them. I think that there are seasons. Listen, I'm full aware of our friends in the industry who talk about separation season. When everybody else is on holiday, then that's when you go to work because you gain an advantage, and that's 100% true. 100% true. You can get ahead if you can accomplish when everybody else is looking the other way, when everybody else is barbecuing and at the pool. That's 100% true. But at the same time, there's something to be said about rest and recovery. That is also very important. So when I say it depends on you and them, first of all, great question, because we opened up with the two best looking guys on the internet over 50. And I say to people, listen, when I was 30, yeah, no problem. I'm going to plow right through, every holiday. I'm going to do 20-hour weeks, this whole thing of rise and grind, because you had it in you. You had that drive. You had the eye of the tiger. It's not that you don't have the drive in the eye of the tiger, but look, if you and I go out and we do one of Michael Chandler's workout of the day, tomorrow we're going to feel it differently than just doing our normal workout. I'm sure, and I know for you 100%, because I've seen some of the young Dave pictures. I'm sure that your today workout is very different than what you were doing back in your 20s and 30s. And it has a lot to do with us as we age, as we gain wisdom, and as our goals change. Maybe we don't want to be super shredded like we did in our 20s and 30s, but we do value strength, mobility, and pliability. The second part is them. Listen, there are some holidays where literally it feels like the entire world shuts down. So if you're telling me, like, on Christmas Day, that's when I get ahead, well, you're going to have to get ahead by yourself, because Christmas Day, people are with families, people are doing structured activities that they always do historically. Now, if you're like, Labor Day is a day I get ahead, yeah, there's Columbus Day. There's not like people saying, wow, it's my 20th time getting the whole family together for Columbus Day. Although I do realize it's a national holiday, you might be able to get ahead because there will be people. I'm sure I'm available to talk to you on Columbus Day. I know for sure Dave Meltzer is available to talk to you on Columbus Day. So it kind of depends on you and where you are in the season of life. It also depends on them, the availability and accessibility of the people that you may need to work with or talk to.
Yeah, I love that. And I think in the them in you is who they are. So, I use time, and understanding that, normally I may spend 8 hours in activity I get paid for. I might only spend 15 minutes on July 4th or Christmas Day or whatever. But I think that it's important to spend that time. I found it really interesting. I send a lot of emails, texts, obviously on all four I'm always asking in person, on the phone, via email, and social. I found it really interesting who responded to my email over the holiday. And it was Mark Cuban immediately. It was people that normally don't respond. The highest level of people responded. All the other people that normally respond, hey, whatever, they didn't respond. They had their automatic replies. They had that. I thought it was really interesting. I probably had 5, extremely active people, billionaires, super famous people, respond immediately over the holidays, specifically to an email, the same email that goes out, for our VIP dinner or our SoFi mastermind that we're doing Monday. I found it really curious. And that's why I was asking the question, because felt like, although I spent far less time doing the things that I normally do in the activity that I get paid for, I had a different them. And it wasn't like you said, right? The majority of them weren't there, but I had a them that I really benefited from, the conference calls with Mike Tannenbaum or other people that are at the highest levels. I thought it was interesting. I personally went through a phase, Sean, too, of projecting my own personal successes and failures onto others, that it must be the way that they would succeed or fail. So one of them was waking up early. I was really like, you need to wake up early in order to be successful. I don't believe that at all anymore. The one thing that I believe to be true is the physics of being committed to consistent behavior for a minimum amount of time. And, I know in the math and physics of it, that the people that go off the grid for 6 months or 6 weeks or even 6 days, that they're at a disadvantage. Now, it doesn't mean it's not good for them and it is not right for them. But I think as far as productivity, accessibility, obviously, and gratitude, they're not going to get the exponentiality of people that are willing to give a minimum amount of time every single day committed. I still believe that to be true, but I don't believe that to be right for everyone.
So you say these words a lot. This is a great topic: productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. I want to point out something. Notice that you didn't say, and I'm not saying that you didn't say it on purpose, but notice that you didn't say service. And so in this realm, talking about service providers, so you have healers, doctors, lawyers, accountants, people that provide a service. They utilize their mind and their hands and their hearts, their talents to serve humanity. The trick is oftentimes we find our value and worth in the service that we provide. Like, oh, I serve Dave. Maybe I'm a coach. So I begin to fall into the trap that Dave pays me for coaching. And what I have always struggled to communicate, so I'm going to open this up because I think that you'll be able to articulate it. You have that gift, is that I feel that people are not necessarily paying you for the service because, look, lawyer, you're a lawyer. If you're practicing law, lawyers are a dime a dozen. So why would I pick you over everybody? I mean, it's not like you're the only one that practices this particular type of law. And if you were, that would be useless because there would be no counterpart to it. There could only be a plaintiff or a defendant, and there could never be anybody on the other side because you're the only one that does it. So then what we begin to realize is that what we're being paid for is, and I always tell this, is accessibility. And the greater the access, the greater you're able to charge for that greater level of access. And I would also say the greater level of accessibility that you can create in your life, the greater the net worth. So I found it interesting that you were like, look, The them changed, and there were different people who responded to me, but you only named ultra successful people who were accessible even on the 4th of July. Now, that does not mean that they were serving on the 4th of July. It doesn't mean they had a full book of coaching calls or a full roster of clients. But what it did mean is that they were accessible. And that's in my opinion, why when you say the people that go off the grid, it hurts them in the sense that they disconnect. And so they no longer have accessibility. Now, connection is a two-way street. So I can be accessible to you, but I can also honor that I don't want to get sucked into social media. I don't want to get down a rabbit hole in YouTube. So I might not go after access to watching Ed Milet videos until 2 a.m. But that doesn't mean that if David Meltzer texts me, emails me, or communicates with me, that I have announced to the world that I am accessible, because I feel like in the service world, if I am not accessible, my actual value and worth to the world diminishes. What do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah, I absolutely why I chose the word accessibility. And it's a duality to me, because it doesn't mean service at all to me. And it's not as if, because I believe in the aspect of gratitude is service, that we're finding the light, the love, and the lessons, that we're gracious ourselves and to others. And part of being gracious to ourselves is to not be of service sometimes, and to pick and choose who are of service and of what degree we are. You know, I have 3 criteria of service. To me, it's relativity. So when my mom fell at 4 a.m, I was extremely accessible, regardless of a holiday, because of the relativity of me and my mom. Then you have association. So I had a different level of accessibility to those people that I work with and friends and others. And then, of course, the one is determined on how much someone feeds or bleeds me. So someone like Mark Cuban could feed me a lot. So I'm going to be on the 4th of July, 5th of July, accessible to Mark Cuban because of that. And maybe he felt the same way about me, that in the normal course couldn't get what he needed, or vice versa from me. So I think in that accessibility, but the duality part is the second thing that you mentioned, which is, hey, how am I accessing others? So, and that was one of the points I wanted to get to. You know, my daughter Marissa works with me, very diligent, very much like her dad, a little bit OCD. And she was with family in Michigan. She was with her sister, her aunts, and her cousins, and they're all on the. She felt bad because she, during the holiday, didn't follow up and didn't make calls, and she felt bad. And I said, it's okay, right? It's okay, because once again, those in that usage of time would not give you the return. You can get to it on Monday, and although you may have squeezed one more person to come to Madison Square Garden or to YouTube Theater or to Monday Mastermind or to Rolling Stones or whatever else we're doing, one more person compared to ruining your whole holiday. There's the math of the accessibility that we want to have is, okay, that's why I spend a minimum amount of time. Just stay in that groove, but don't beat your head against a brick wall out of going and getting so busy you forget to make money, getting so busy that you forget to have fun, or these other things. And so I think there is a pragmatic criteria during the holidays of saying, what is going to be productive? What is going to, utilize this accessibility for me to access and for them to access me? And most importantly, where's the light, the love, and the lesson in this holiday in prioritizing what's most important to us? And I think a lot of people get confused and they come out of that holiday like Marissa feeling bad and almost diminishing the amount of fun that they had, instead of just saying, hey, yeah, I lost like 3 deals, but the amount of time on Monday or Tuesday after the holiday, I could get 30 deals in the same effort. I'm much better off, playing 18 holes of golf with my son, or much better off, going and scurfing behind on the lake, Michigan, getting drunk and being hungover the next day. Whatever it is, I think that stuff's important.
Well, it is important. It is important. I think that one thing I want to point out too, I want to speak to the people who still are in their 20s and 30s. And that is important because it's easy for us to, at our stage of life, be like, listen, you gotta relax and recover. But one thing that is interesting too is that you said that certain people were accessible to you on the holiday. And it was because either you could, they understand the value that they could provide to you, or vice versa. Give us some tips, because now that we've spilled the beans on the next holiday, next Columbus Day, that means that David Meltzer is accessible to the outside world based off of the three categories. But one of the other things, and maybe we'll do this on a separate show and break this particular thing down, but in the time that we have left, one of the things that I teach is, listen, if I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, so David Meltzer, shoot, I missed an opportunity to potentially connect with him over the holidays, and probably a deeper, more meaningful connection, because there's less static, there's less people, his team's not doing all of the things that they normally do. And so he has a little bit more space in his life. I should have reached out. But I always say too, the thing about it is that in your reach outs and your ability to connect with people, relevancy rules. It's very important to be relevant. So if I'm thinking like, look, next holiday, that's not, some major holiday, I'm going to reach out to David Meltzer. But first, I need for David Meltzer to know that I am relevant in his world. Give me some tips on how I can build relevancy in someone's life that I desire to connect with, so that when that opportunity presents itself, I'm not sending you a cold text or a DM so that you're sitting there and you're like, who the heck is 925-416 or whatever, right? Like, how do I become relevant to someone that I want to connect with?
Invitations, questions, and suggestions in all four platforms is a way that we stay relevant to others. And so in the context of in person, on the phone, via email and media, traditional and social, we want to make sure that we're inviting people to things, that we are asking questions of others, and making suggestions in all four of those platforms. And so in order to do so, at all times, we have to be repetitive, which is one of the annoying traits that we have to carry in order to be relevant. Honesty itself is the first one, meaning you need to know your essence in order to capture it. But two, it's the repetition that truly is counterintuitive as well as counter human nature. People feel as if they're being annoying, or if they're bothering people by inviting or asking questions or making suggestions via these four platforms. The actual counterintuitive part is, intuitively it is annoying, but unfortunately or fortunately, that's what it takes to stay relevant. I always say, when people are like, sorry, I know this sounds trite, or this is just one of those, how do you think these things got trite? Because they're true, right? And so, the squeaky wheel gets oil, especially in the four relevance. And so for me, nobody gives more invitations than me. And I come up with that phrase, right? Invitations, not obligations, because I'm so annoying with invitations. I'm still working on asking more questions in the realm of being more interested than interesting. And obviously, I give a lot of suggestions in my content, in person, on the phone, etc. So work on being annoying about inviting people, asking questions, and giving suggestions, and you'll stay very relevant for the times when maybe people that aren't normally available are now accessible.
One of the things that was very important that you said is also in person was one of the four. In person.
Very much so. And it'll be more and more important. That.
Yes. And the value of showing up in person. I love moments like this because I hope that I hear this, and this will validate me, or it'll make me just feel like absolute crap. but I'll see this either on social media or I won't. I'm going to add a fourth: invitations, questions. No, was it right? Invitations, suggestions, questions and suggestions.
Yep.
And I want to keep your alliteration going. So I'm going to go invitation, questions, suggestions, and connections. Invitations,
Nice.
questions, suggestions, and connections. If you're watching this and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to introduce David Meltzer to my friend who owns the auto dealership in Kalamazoo, Michigan. David, can I connect you to the owner of the Chevrolet dealership in Kalamazoo? Now, does that become instantaneously relevant to David Meltzer? Well, David's like, wow, I don't know that guy. That could be interesting. There could be some business development. At the very least, there could be some friendship or maybe a discount on a Corvette. Wow. And that gains you instant relevancy. Now, if you're just saying, listen, Dave, can I introduce you to my lawn guy in Indianapolis and he lives in Orange County, that's not relevant. That's a meaningless connection unless the lawn guy loved Dave's content or something like that. But I think if we can learn to strategically make relevant invitations, questions, suggestions, and connections via the 4 platforms, and I want to really emphasize in person the value of showing up. I got to tell you, people recognize when you show up for them, that can gain you relevancy. And then that positions you to make an ask, which that definitely is a later episode. But even I think that's one thing, David, that we can all work on, is because oftentimes it's in our nature to create relationships, but then it's not in our nature to ask for help or ask for directions once that relationship is established. And also, isn't that awkward to you when you're like, wow, I love this person. They're connecting me to all these people. They make really great suggestions and invitations, but they don't seem to ask me anything, or there's nothing there for me to be able to reciprocate. And that creates a degree of awkwardness in the relationship as well.
It's so true. And I think, you make a really good point about being a person within the context of asking. I always say you ask questions or ask for help. It's the reason I went bankrupt is I didn't ask questions and I didn't ask for help. I didn't find the people that sit in the situation I want to be in and ask them for help. And I would have saved myself a lot of dummy tax, which is why we do what we do, is to save people dummy tax. At its essence, there's 2 things I do: save you dummy tax, and I make connections. That's the type of advising, consulting, and coaching, mentoring, and teaching that I do. But in that context, the in-person side, I'm very pragmatic and mathematical. Think about this. It has to be the most important part, because for me, in-person hits all 4 platforms. Emails can be relative to what you're doing in person. The text will be relative to what you're doing in person. Obviously, you get to amplify everything you do in person onto traditional and social media. You're creating a stage when you're in person beyond being in person. So the most valuable thing you can do in the context of the platforms in which you can create relativity, you can create value, all the things that we want to do, productivity, accessibility, and gratitude created, the most valuable is in person, because you get all the platforms amplified when you do things in person. You see, if you put out an email, what are you going to post the email on social? Are you going to take the email and go ahead and make that into a phone call? No, but in person, everything is amplified and exponentially increases in its value if you show up. And most people, they're apathetic and they're overwhelmed and they're not prioritizing. And so they use time, emotion, and value as an excuse to not receive more time, more emotional success, purpose, and more value. They actually use it as an excuse to not show up in person.
Speaking of showing up in person, where can people show up in person and see David Meltzer next?
Oh shit, dude. I wish I knew. All right, I'm going to go through it really quickly. We are actually going to be at SoFi. We did not sell our suite for Rolling Stones on Wednesday. Mikey forgot it was there. So we're doing a Rolling Stones experiential Wednesday night concert, and there's like 4 tickets left. So you can join us at the Rolling Stones concert on Wednesday. You cannot join us at the Rolling Stones concerts on Saturday because there were so many people that wanted to come Saturday. Nobody wants to come Wednesday, but I will be with Sean Dill, really celebrating at the Rolling Stones on Saturday. Then Monday, we're doing the SoFi Mastermind. So join us at SoFi for an incredible content mastermind. Just incredible people will be there. Then on, I missed one. Thursday this week, I'm going to Vegas. So we'll be meeting with the plot. So I have a Sirius XM studio from 12 to 2, a meetup right after that, and a VIP dinner in Vegas on Thursday. Then I get to see Sean on Saturday, playing golf, as everybody found out, there on Sunday with Sean. Monday, SoFi Mastermind. And then Friday, I'm at the collab with Rob Riggle. Dane Cook and I are collaborating with everyone. Rob Riggle, Baron Davis, Marshall Falk, come to SoFi Stadium YouTube Theater. Then I fly to Madison Square Garden with Stephen A. Smith, Martha Stewart, David Goggins, Danny Fishman, Tim Story, A-Rod, Big Poppy, and we have a VIP dinner afterwards at Madison Square Garden. And on the way home, I may, if I'm still breathing, meet up at WealthCon. I got offered a stage spot at WealthCon with Ryan Pineda on Sunday. I think I'm going to stop there. But there's many more things after that. You can see I'm booked 200 days a year, and it seems like all of them are in the next 2 weeks. But you asked, so I answered.
I love it. I love it. Super proud of all the impact that you're making. But also, I gotta tell everybody, like, because like this guy, like people message me and they're like, "That guy's your friend." I was like, "Yeah," but we weren't talking about golf live. What do you?
Yeah, I know. I know. Everything's live to me. We're gonna play golf. We have a 4-spot open, so go ahead, give us a call. We'll figure out a deal to play golf with Sean Dill and I on Sunday.
Yeah, since you mentioned Ryan Pineda, we got to get into the golf mastermind business. But I don't think we're as good as Ryan. Although I would like to find out. I think that
I'm definitely
not. maybe you and me against Ryan Pineda and Brad Lee. I think we could take him because I don't think Brad's going to be very good at golf. I just have a feeling.
No, I'm steady, man. You're going to get a good 80 to an 82 out of me as long as we play from the whites. If we play from the blues, I don't know why. My drives are longer from the whites than the blues because I try to overhit it. I got a complex or a simplex or something going on. Anyway, if anybody wants to be our fourth, please reach out, david@dmeltzer.com. Sean Dill, myself, and Miles Meltzer will be playing golf on Sunday. So come and join on Pull and Pineda. We'll work a deal for you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for spending your precious and valuable time with us. Thank you, David, for setting aside time in your super busy schedule. For all of us, we super appreciate that. I look forward to seeing you here in the next couple of days. Can't wait. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on Get Booked Solid. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to